Πακευμένον ουνέσχεται.
Καλώς θα είναι ίσως εγώ συνέψω.
Στήστε!
Εγώ stand up, Jimmy Dolor!
Et nunc! Trica! Adiuva! Auxilio! Cunio! Aduiva! Varias παρασκευάσματα του δανεστή. Et io dilu... Έκρινα εισφαλμένος του μέλιγενες. Φτάναμε στο σημείο του σπουδανός. Πήγαινε από Ιδιότην.
Από τε, φίλοι! Τι ονοράζεις!
Jam hignovum elit.
Κεραυναίων δια!
Πακέτσι μιλάμε!
Ultimem kod. Tentaset. Stande! Mola! Snecore sancto! Campana! Gig molestus!
Merita procesé.
Τι πλέον μένεις η ώρα. Άνθρωποι.
حمحوتة بنفر ورد.
Νέσαρε.
Welcome to Temples and Priests. From its foundation, the city of Memphis favored worship of the god Ptah. Temples were the center of religious, political, and economic life in ancient Egypt. These sacred places were viewed as the literal home of the gods and goddesses. As such, located in the center of Memphis, the Temple of Ptah was the most prominent and imposing building in the city. The long walkway leading toward the temple, known as the Dromos, was guarded by rows of sphinxes. The entire sacred area was designed to keep the statue of the god protected, deep within the sacred enclosures that surrounded it. The Dromos opened into a courtyard, with the surrounding portico graced with columns carved to resemble palm trees. During special festivals, the general population was allowed to enter this location, but under no circumstances would they be allowed into the sacred. The Memphis alabaster erosion has destroyed the original engravings, making it difficult to determine when it was created. Egyptologists believe that its facial likeness resembles Amenhotep II, and so it could have been sculpted somewhere between 1700 and 1400 BCE. It is believed that this monument once stood outside of the Temple of Ptah and was integrated into subsequent extensions to the complex. The size of the imposing sculpture reflects the importance it had to the temple during the New Kingdom. This sphinx is one of the... In Egyptian culture, some animals were associated with gods, while others were considered to be living gods. The Apis bull was believed to be a divine entity. The earliest... Originally the symbol of fertility, the Apis bull was linked to the god Ra, with the image of the sun carried between its horns. Later, the Apis bull lived with its harem in a sacred barn located in an enclosure in the temple. Like other living divinities, the mortal incarnation of the Apis bull was prayed to, and when it died, it was given a luxurious funeral, which included mummification. Until the reign of Ramses II, the Apis bulls were buried in individual graves in Saqqara. During the 26th dynasty, the bodies of the bulls were buried in enormous stone vats in the underground corridors of the Serapeum of Memphis. Ancient Egyptians believed that temple rituals were essential to maintain order in the cosmos and allow communication between humans and gods. The pharaoh was required to bring offerings as part of a twofold promise made to the gods, to remain a just ruler and to prevent chaos from entering Egypt. Details of the ceremonies found on temple walls provide a thorough overview of the stages of the daily ritual. Performed The high priest would first awaken the sleeping god with a chant. Then the seals of the shrine's doors were broken and the bolts drawn back. The act of swinging open the doors was a symbol. The god was then washed with incense-infused water, and its mouth rinsed with mineral salts. The cleansing was followed by adorning the statue with jewels and royal garments. The final ritual required the priest to... Heredity was the primary source of new recruits. Rarely was an outsider allowed this position. High priest candidates made their way up the ranks of the temple hierarchy. the one chosen to occupy the... In the 21st dynasty, Thebes became the capital of an almost entirely theocratic government. The city was headed by king priests who spoke and governed in the name of the god Amun, in open opposition to the ruling pharaohs. These king priests caused a massive decentralization of power, known as the Third Intermediate Period. The educational institution in ancient Egypt was known as the House of Life. Attended by the offspring of the elite and the clergy, it was a place tailored to the social status of its attendees. The earliest references to this type of institution. Only two known centers have been uncovered, one in the abandoned city of Akhetaten, and one at the temple of Ramses II on the west bank of Thebes. Inscriptions uncovered in those locations mention the names and titles of people who were connected with the House of Life, such as a chief physician and many scribes. It is presumed that by the late kingdom, every temple had a House of Life. The House of Life offered training for the elite, destined for occupations such as astronomers, doctors, veterinarians, diplomats, architects. Not limited to instruction for young students, the House of Life was a source of reference for many scholars, with rooms dedicated to papyri of many disciplines. Because papyri were preserved there, the Greco-Romans referred to the House of Life as a library. Ancient Egyptian economy was based on an unequal system of redistribution of goods. The state of Egypt collected the crops, and the temples distributed them throughout the provinces. Since the only people capable of counting and ensuring a fair redistribution were the educated scribes, this meant that the temples played a pivotal role in this process. There are records of pharaohs making offerings of large tracts of land and animals to temples in order to maintain their favor. Ramses III offered generous gifts to the temple of Amun in Karnak in such a manner. Palaces, warehouses, and granaries were built inside the temple compound to better control the redistribution of goods. The size of the recorded numbers of goods, combined with every other function filled by temples, only serves to confirm their might as economic, religious, and political centers of power within Egypt. Palaces, warehouses, and granaries were built inside the temple compound to better control the redistribution of goods. The size of the recorded numbers of goods, combined with every other function filled by temples, only serves to confirm their might as economic, religious, and political centers of power within Egypt.
Thermo.
Oui, Imhotep.
The Apis bull lived with its harem in a sacred barn located in an enclosure in the Temple of Ptah. Each bull bore 29 signs representative of its divinity. Among them, the bull had an eagle-shaped mark on its back, a double tail hair, and a scarab-shaped mark under the tongue. The signs were intended to correspond with the lunar cycle. After its death, Egyptians would search for its reincarnated form among the livestock. From its foundation, the city of Memphis favored worship of Welcome to Building Ancient Egypt. Constructed with bricks made of mud, most ancient Egyptian buildings were... Limestone was common and easy to extract from quarries on the east bank of the Nile. Ancient Egyptians preferred to use sedimentary rock beds. Workers would draw a large grid directly on the stone's surface, taking care to leave a space between the blocks. The gallery extraction technique was used when the desired rock was buried under layers of rubble. To cut the stone, they created a longitudinal kerf, or slit, and then cut the rock at a 90-degree angle. The lower side was determined along the... To maintain the stability of these mining pits over the course of quarrying, workers... In every quarry, dedicated shrines were established to offer protection for the workers. In particular, Serket, the scorpion goddess, was considered a very powerful deity among quarry workers. Every mine and quarry of ancient Egypt included a scorpion charmer, who was said to use magical powers to ward off the dangerous insects and keep the workers safe.
Welcome to Workers at... Whether workers were employed for the pyramid construction or at the... Skilled architects Archaeological research shows that while some quarries were close to the Nile, others were located across. Whenever possible, blocks were toppled from a high. During flood season, the Nile was at the Uwadi al-Jarf papyri detail. Stone cargo generally weighed 15 tons per boat. River transportation was the most efficient way to ferry stone blocks between the quarry and the construction site. Blocks were transported by flotillas of several types of boats. The most detailed illustration of transport by river is a relief of Queen Hatshepsut's barge with an accompanying flotilla. Welcome to Agriculture and Seasons. While crops were cultivated in different oases around the desert, most of the arable lands were near the Nile. Two types of cereal grain were cultivated: barley. The Ptolemaic era created an agricultural revolution with the introduction of advanced agricultural techniques and new grain types such as rice, durum wheat, and pearl millet. The resulting agricultural mass production greatly increased the economy of ancient Egypt. Both bread and beer rations were part of a system of barter payment. The state used those goods to pay wages for those who worked in the quarries and at the construction sites. Beer was so important to ancient Egyptians, they had a goddess of beer brewing. In order to increase agricultural production, fertile land was divided into plots and large agricultural villages were encouraged. The state and temples were the biggest landowners. Depending on the region, fertile land was managed by civil servants or rented to individuals. Ancient Egyptians relied on rudimentary tools. The three seasons known as Akhet, Peret, and Shemu corresponded to a specific phase of the agricultural process and the river's natural changes. Akhet was the time of the flood, beginning with the appearance of the star Sirius in July. Peret was the time when lands were cultivated, plowed, and sown. This fell between October and November. Shemu ran from May to September and was when harvesting and taxation began. The pharaoh's duty was to uphold order against chaos and provide for his people. Priests and local governors also wanted to appear as protectors of the people. However, any variation in the Nile's seasons could cause water shortages. This had devastating consequences on wheat and barley. The story begins with the pharaoh worried for his people. The Nile hasn't flooded in years, and his people are starving. In search of the origins of the flooding, Djoser seeks out Khnum, the protector god of the region and the source of the drought. Djoser gives the god offerings and orders his priests to restore the temple of Khnum. These offerings please the god, and the floods are restored. This story was intended to highlight the importance of the deity in everyone's daily lives, while also demonstrating the crucial role that the priests and the king played in feeding and protecting the people of Egypt.
Welcome to Ancient Egyptian Cultivation. The new grain types of the Ptolemaic period required a great deal of water. Later, a sakia, or water wheat. The threshing process separated the grain from its husk. Winnowing was the stage where workers used wooden scoops to throw ears in the air. The wind carried off the chaff. Transporting large amounts of grain required ships. Having reached Alexandria's inner harbor, the wheat was unloaded under the supervision of a civil servant in charge of wheat management. Grain storage facilities were located across all of Egypt. Temples and institutions had large silos, while the sieves used by ancient Egyptians were unable to filter out sand and stones. Grit often passed into the flour, causing long-term tooth abrasions among all classes of Egyptians.
Welcome to Domesticated Animals of Ancient Egypt. Agriculture and domesticated livestock were introduced 6,000 years ago. Archaeologists have found traces of cattle, donkeys, pigs, and dogs. Dromedary are thought to have been introduced during the Persian invasion. Pets were deeply cherished in ancient Egypt. Many illustrations of children often include a pet in the depiction.
Whoa.
One of ancient Egypt's most iconic animals, the cat, wasn't adopted into their daily life until the Middle Kingdom. Since they were so highly capable of killing snakes and rodents, cats were present throughout every period. However, they only became pets sometime during the Middle Kingdom. Prince Thutmose, son of Amenhotep III, had his cat Tamiu laid to rest in its own sarcophagi. The earliest reference to dogs dates back to 5000 BCE. They were popular pets as they helped hunters and protected herds. They were closely linked to Anubis, the jackal-headed god. Baboons, monkeys, and even falcons were tamed as pets. Each was mummified and buried with as much ceremony as any family member.
Welcome to Ancient Egyptian Medicine. Evidence of advanced medical procedures have been found on mummies, and ancient Egyptians left detailed medical... Another similar document, the Ebers Medical Papyrus, is over 20 meters long. Remedies were considered as medicine and carried by doctors and priests. Village doctors often had another job, alongside their medical duties and the preparation of medicines. A cure for blindness was made of fermented honey, ochre, and coal. The science behind it was that honey functioned as an antiseptic and antibacterial, while ochre would reduce the swelling. All of their knowledge did not always suffice. Ramses II died of an infection caused by an abscessed tooth.
Welcome to Leather and Linen in Ancient Egypt. Tanning, a process which dates from prehistoric times, was present although not highly valued in Egypt due to the heat. Leather was reserved mainly for things such as sandals, leather bags, dagger sheath. Valued for its coolness and freshness in hot weather, linen was the fiber most commonly used for fabrics and textiles. It was produced from flax, which was plentiful in Egypt. Fibers were usually dyed before. Various shades were achieved using woad, a dye produced from the leaves of Isotis tinctoria. This area's style is strongly influenced by the dye baths and tanneries of modern-day Fes in Morocco. This helped Ubisoft envision what such locations might have been like in ancient Egypt. While this tannery is within the city walls, back then they were often found outside the city boundaries. The tanner's trade was considered off-putting by the Greeks, as all these operations resulted in noxious smells. Welcome to Ancient Egyptian Fashions. Learning what life was like for ancient Egyptians presents... Jewelry was a popular... Though idealized, the fabric of ancient Egyptian clothing, cosmetics including concoction. Egyptians believed kohl had magical powers, wearing it as black eyeliner to protect their eyes from the sun. And women and teenage girls wore their hair long. Wigs were very popular. Prepubescent children generally had their heads shaved. Young girls kept some strands intact, while young boys had a braid worn on the side. Welcome to Artisans of Ancient Egypt. It was under the watchful eye of Ptah of Memphis. Art. In ancient Egyptian culture, drawing was used as illustration, such as seen in the Book of the Dead. It was also the first step in the creation of a relief, painting, or statue. Two-dimensional representations were concerned with order and form, and were intended to honor gods and promote the... Stylistically, Egyptians were concerned with the depiction of the human forms. An exception to this were scenes depicting hunting and battle. Reliefs could be... Statues were believed to be vessels for the souls. In ancient... At the domestic level, most Egyptians were craftspeople to a greater or lesser. Located near the Valley of the Kings, Deir el-Medina was a... Archaeologists believe the site was home to skilled and respected artisans for over 400 years. It is considered one of the most important discoveries relating to Egyptian daily life. While much of the focus of Egyptian archaeology was on its kings and queens, it wasn't until the excavation of Deir el-Medina that Egyptologists were given a valuable window into the community life of ancient Egyptian artisans.
Welcome to Evolution of Pottery in Ancient Egypt. Excavations all over Egypt have uncovered enormous... Early pot. The potter's wheel was utilized during quartzite particles, which created the rich blue or green glazing, became common during the New Kingdom. Mediterranean motifs and potsherds could be found anywhere and were the most common canvas for writing or drawing, in comparison to the more expensive papyrus sheets. Named after their Greek description, ostraca contained daily life records, letters, or could be drawn upon. Artists drew sketches for temples and tombs, or simply for leisure.
Genç xerek. Misin?
Welcome to the Egyptian household. In pre-Greco-Roman culture, women were considered equal. Certain professions were open only to women, such as weaving or professional mourning, while homes were generally composed of 3 rooms. First, there was the entrance. Marriages were a social contract rather than a religious construct. Family was vitally important to ancient Egyptians, and children were considered a blessing from the gods. The father, mother, and their children were the nucleus of the family, and cohabitation sometimes extended to mothers-in-law, sisters, aunts, and sisters-in-law. Status and wealth played a large role. Town officials and the rich lived in mansions with numerous rooms that were luxuriously decorated. Funeral stone inscriptions focused on the main member of a household. Encircling this person would then be a spouse, parents, and children, possibly even siblings. These stones were so structured because there were no surnames in ancient Egyptian culture. Parents and children were a sort of family tree, which allowed for the identification of the deceased. Welcome to... While the Mesopotamians invented beer, including using a straw to avoid... Beer was the popular drink... Once baked, bread would be crumbled into the brew to start the fermentation process. Once ready, the bread and grain mixture was compressed, and then... Food was prepared. Dough was kneaded by hand or foot, and when ancient Egyptians always had to fight off the omnipresent sand particles that were blown towards them. Despite their best efforts, sand regularly made its way into their food. Additionally, particles from the grain-grinding stone tools and ovens they used also contributed to attrition and prematurely worn teeth. The team tried to portray this through toothache animations and commoners sweeping sand up. If you have some time, check out Alexandria. It's one of the greatest cities in antiquity.
Welcome to Wine in Ancient Egypt. When the god Horus, a millennia-old tradition, grape cultivation and wine production was regimented in the way typical. Documentation shows that only certain craftsfolk were allowed to. Egyptians had different kinds of wines, most of which ranged in quality from good to very good. The sweet shadé, to which honey had been added. The soft nejem, obtained by drying the grapes in the sun. The ma, reserved for religious ceremonies. And finally there was the peor, the mediocre-rated wine, resulting from the second pressing of grapes and reserved for a less discerning palate. Welcome to Oil in Ancient Egypt. Castor, sesame, and moringa were the source of the most common oils in ancient Egypt. Oil was used for various purposes. Ancient Egyptians originally used castor oil in wick lamps, but also for cosmetics, such as facial and hair treatments. There is mention in some papyrus of castor oil being prescribed. Olive trees were present, though scarce, in ancient Egypt's early history, and olives were mostly imported from Syria and Palestine. Their use and cultivation remained uncommon until the mass arrival of Greek settlers during the reign of the Ptolemies, when demand increased sharply. Olive trees were normally found in the region of the Fayum and the lands surrounding Alexandria.
The spectacle is not over yet. Welcome these new gladiators. That's the end for him.
Bastardos! Ubies!
Our savage Siwan slays another opponent. The Siwan still stands, but new opponents are here to end his challenge. The Siwan shows no mercy. Another gladiator for the grave. This devastating blow sent him to the ground. Another gladiator for the grave. Siwan shows no mercy. Himself with the blood of enemies before he's ready to enter the underworld. None shall stop him. Siwan is hit! A stunning blow! Connection! A hit! That's the end for him! We have a new victor! More gladiators have come to test the Siwan.
Forgotten!
A devastating blow sends him to the ground. The spectacle continues. New fighters enter. Siwan slays another opponent. The Siwan shows no mercy. And the brave Siwan kill yet more of our mighty gladiators of Ziren. A devastating blow sends him to the ground. enter the arena. Another gladiator for the grave. Our savage Siwan slays another opponent. There will be no pause in the slaughter. New blood has arrived. That's the end for him. Another gladiator for the grave.
I have the bastard!
You gladiators enter the arena.
Target is in my range! Stop my
Devastating blow sends him to the ground. That's the end for him. Another opponent. The spectacle is not over yet. Welcome these new gladiators. A devastating blow sent him to the ground. gladiator for the grave. More men ready to fight to the death. Our savage Siwan slays another opponent. The Siwan still stands, but new opponents are here to end his challenge. That's the end for him. Siwan shows no mercy. From the once mighty Seleucid Empire comes the formidable gladiator Antiochus. None can escape his bladed star. I'll bet that one stung. Better leave him on. The Magi left one. That got through. The C1 gets one in. Oh, what a show! That got through. The gladiator scores! A hit! I'll bet that one stung. The Magi is rocked. Another gladiator for the grave. The mighty Siwan has won. The Siwan.
What a clean shot!
I was one step from the run.
Continues. New fighters enter. slaughter. New blood has arrived.
Don't usually punish half-wits, but in your case... Gods must have slept through your creation.
And the brave Siwan kill yet more of our mighty gladiators of Siren. Even I felt that. That's it! Oh, well done, Siwan! The Siwan gets one in! Better leave a mark! That got through! The Siwan has conquered the arena! More gladiators have come to test the Siwan. The Siwan shows no mercy. That's the end for him. Four men ready to fight to the death. Our savage Siwan slays another opponent. This spectacle is not over yet. Welcome these new gladiators. A devastating blow sends him to the ground. Another gladiator for the grave. Can the brave Siwan kill yet more of our mighty gladiators of Cyrene? A devastating blow sent him to the ground. For him! New gladiators enter the arena! The Siwan shows no mercy! Still stands, but new opponents are here to end his challenge. Our savage Siwan slays another opponent. A devastating blow sends him to the ground.